How's it going, YouTube? Oxy here, and welcome back. With Hulu's Prey coming out in 3 days as a release of this video, August 5th, I thought I'd talk about why I think Predator 2 is underrated. So I think within the Predator community, if you want to call it that, I think a lot of people appreciate the movie, like it, but if you're a casual fan or if you're just getting into this franchise, or you're someone that goes off of like Rotten Tomatoes and that sort of thing, I'm here to just give why I think it's underrated, and in my opinion, it is the best sequel. So I guess to start on, if you look it up right now, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's like a 30%. On Metacritic, it's a 43. So you could think, oh, this is a pretty bad movie. And no, I think it's a lot of fun. So yes, Dutch Arnold did not return. So it's a brand new cast, right? New lead played by Danny Glover, who, might I add, I think does a fantastic job. Literally, the whole cast is great. I mean, think you have Danny Glover, you have Bill Paxton, you know, the legend, rest in peace. You have Gary Busey, of course, with as Peter Keyes, which was meant to be Arnold. If he were to come back for this movie, he was going to play that role originally, but of course he denied, so they went with Gary Busey, who still does a great job, seriously. But the movie's a lot of fun. So the main complaint, I guess people will tell you about the movie is that, oh, it's like just a dumb action movie, right? Like popcorn. Because admittedly, yeah, it is like action. Like we do see the Predator like way more. Like this guy, like, you know, it compared the City Hunter compared to the Jungle Hunter. Obviously, the City one kills way more. But I don't know. I like that. Because like here, the problem with a movie like Predator, even though it's not an issue, but as a franchise, just like Jaws, you can only have one movie, one reveal, right? I mean, look, that first time the Predator takes its mask off, iconic, you know? But you can't recreate that, because it's like, once it's done, like, you already know what the creature looks like, you know? At that point, you'd have to make something new, right? A new creature, a new, like, to work. I will say, though, Predator 1 is still an all-time classic, like seriously. Great film. Like it's it's really good. But I think Predator 2 is good. Again, you can never have that reveal again, you know? So I think they went in a cool direction. Like, yeah, it's action, but still, they keep within the lore of like, okay, the Predator's it's attracted to heat. So it's a heat wave in LA. It's set 10 years after the original. And we follow Danny Glover's character, Michael Harrigan, who's a police officer, right, detective. And he's got his crew, you know, Leona and Danny. And then, of course, Bill Paxton's Jerry comes later on. But, yeah, and essentially the stories about, like, the police force dealing with, like, the Colombians and the Jamaicans and, like, an all-out drug war. It's pretty cool. Like, I like the opening scene when, like, they're having a shootout, and then, you know, Danny Glover shows up in the car, and, like, it's fun. Sure, you can say, oh, it's just, like, excessive action, but, again, like, it was the 80s. Well, this movie came out in 1990. But you get it. It was that time. Like, it's a product of its time in that sense. But it's a lot of fun. Like, Predator 2, I think a lot of people forget, like, how important it is to the lore of Yautjas, of that. Like, yes, the first one establishes everything, obviously. You know, the camouflage, the wrist blade, the plasma caster, the green blood, right? The healing, you know, his little thing. The infrared. Like, it establishes all that. But then Predator 2, like, adds even more, and not like, it doesn't take away from the mystique of the character, because that's another thing too, right? For example, like the later Alien movies like Prometheus or even Alien Covenant, they start to take away what made the xenomorph so like scary, or, you know, like there's that mystique of like, what is it? Where did it come from? Right? Like what, you know. But those later films try to just explain like the origin too much, and then it's like it loses its like its shine, you know. And Predator 2 does not do that, in my opinion. If anything, it adds more. Like, think, we got the combine stick, the spear. When you think of Predator, you think of that spear. That's from the second movie. The smart disc, again, second movie. We know that the Predator has multiple visions, not just infrared, because that is a point in the plot. So I guess I should say now, minor spoilers for, what at this point, 32-year-old movie. Go watch it though. I like it. Arguably, I might even like it more than the original. I know, blasphemous to say, but I really love it. But yeah, we know that the Predator has multiple visions because, of course, they know he has infrared. So they like flood ultraviolet lights in like the slaughterhouse that he's like essentially nesting at, if you want to call it that, right? Like his little hideout. Like Peter Keyes' character, right? Like they're trying to capture the Predator. And yeah, they're flooding it with UV lights and all this radiation. And at first the Predator can't see them. But then, of course, he like hears something. So you see him go through the multiple visions. I think it's like 5. And, you know, we're just left up to think like, okay, like what are they? And then, of course, he finds them. He sees their lights. So we know that. The net gun, again, this movie, when he like shoots one of the Jamaicans and they like he gets stuck. Like, yeah, so many things that this film adds like to it, and it's just awesome. Like, again, when we think of Predators, we think of all that stuff, and it's like it came from this movie. Oh, importantly, the ending. Like when, of course, Harrigan gets to the ship, right? He's hurt the Predator. It's the final battle, if you will. And he kills them, and then we find out, oh, these are not solo hunters. Or they can't, like, they're not necessarily solo hunters, like the jungle one. We have a whole tribe. Like, I remember as a kid, that scene was like, whoa, you know, there's like a whole, you know, group of them. Like, that reveal is just awesome. Of course, you have the elder Predator and the pistol, right? And, you know, the backstory in the movie, in the comic book, 1718, Predator 1718, which goes into that. But just that whole finding out that, like, oh, these, like, you know, these are the, like, they're tribes. And essentially, we get, like, sure, it doesn't tell you, but you can tell that the elder, right, he has, like, the more grayish hair, so you can put together. He's like the leader. He's the older one, the veteran. And like I guess what I'm saying is, yeah, it takes some thinking, but you can put together like, oh, so maybe this is like the ritual, a rite of passage, right? Like they're being tested, and of course, the city hunter dies. But still, the fact that they carry him away, and then of course, Harrigan gets that respect. Oh yeah, that too. It establishes that of like, oh, you know, respect. Like, it's like a worthy fight. I mean, you could argue the first one did that with Billy. You know, how he essentially throws everything away except his knife. And then Billy specifically gets the trophy, right? The spine kill. Because we never see the fight, sadly, but we assume that it was a worthy fight for him to get the trophy. And yeah, it's just like, it's that last shot is just like, that last scene is so good. It just adds to the Yautja again without giving away too much. We still don't know, like, oh, what their homeworld looks like and that sort of thing. We don't need to, you know? It's like, just, it adds enough while also, like, you know, keeping it fresh. And I love that. And it's just got so many great, like, you know, the supporting cast, like King Willie, the leader of the Jamaicans, was like a shaman who Harrigan goes to find out, like, oh, you know, like, what am I dealing with? Like, he's a great character, and again, we don't see that fight between him and the Predator, but he gets killed, and like King Willie's great. The cartel, like, you know, just that whole, like, scene is just great. You know, another thing that we learned. So in the first movie, we know that the Predator won't attack like essentially people who are unarmed. Which of course with Anna, right, where Arnold like makes her, she's about to pick up a gun, but he's like, don't, and the Predator leaves her alone. Or when it attacked Hawkins, right, like it didn't get her. And then this movie, so Leona is armed, right, on the subway after Bill Paxton gets killed, sadly. And, you know, it's gonna kill her, but then it sees that she's pregnant and it lets her be, right? It lets her live, so we know that, okay, it doesn't hurt. Like the unarmed pregnant, remember she's armed, so you would think, oh, I'm a killer, but no, it's like she's pregnant. Like again, just showing that the Yautja are an honorable species, right? Honorable hunters. Yeah, it's just great. And again, the ending is awesome, which, funny enough, I I don't know if it's been confirmed. I've heard this, so take it with a grain of salt, but all the Predators, right, in that scene supposedly were played by some of the Lakers at the time. So this came out in 1990. So of course that means it was in production late 80s, like what, 88, 89, right? So yeah, it'd be fun to see, like, look up who was playing for the Lakers at the time, and you know, that's like, oh, these guys are potentially Predators. Because, you know, basketball players are typically tall, so Predators are meant to be imposing, so like, you know, we need taller, you know, so that's cool. I love it. And I mean, the movie's near and dear to me just because, like again, I grew up with them 1 and 2, and specifically, I was a Genesis kid. I had a Genesis. I know I'm younger, right? So it's like I wasn't born when like the Genesis had come out, but you know, growing up, I had one. And I had the Predator 2 game on the Genesis. It used to scare me, honestly. The triple dot aim. You know how it would come near you and like you would hear the heartbeat. That would always scare me. Or like I never beat the game. I've since like, yeah, I know what like you fight a big predator at the end. But yeah, it's been a part of my life for so long, and it's great. Like I recently, a couple months ago, I got the 4K collection, so all 4 movies. So yeah, I've just been going back watching them, of course, leading up to Prey this Friday, and it's great. Like I love the film. It really, I think if you're a new Predator fan, or if you're one of those that like, oh, it sucks, like, give it a rewatch, you know? I think you'll like it. Or maybe, like I said, it establishes a lot for the Yautja, for the species. So maybe you could see it with a new eye. Hey, and if you still hate it, it's okay. That's what opinions are, right? At the end of the day, it's subjective. But yeah, guys, that's the video. Just want to talk about why I think Predator 2 is underrated. It's still the best sequel, but we'll see what Prey. Well, yeah, it's a prequel, but we'll see. And I'm hoping, please reference or talk about that pistol, man. You know, the pistol that the Elder Predator gives to Harrigan. 1715, right? Engraved on the gun. The movie Prey takes place 1719, so it's possible. And of course, the story when the Elder Predator was younger, 1718. So it's literally all right there. Maybe we'll see Antonio, I forget the name, engraved on the pistol. Maybe we'll see it. Maybe it's a post-credit thing, but it's on Hulu, so we'll see. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed. If you like this type of content, I make new videos every Tuesdays and Saturdays. And please be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good jazz. And as always, everyone, I've been your host, Oxy. Take care, and I'll see you next time.